Bloodflame. What kind of mother calls their kid Blood Kit?
She has red on her.
Call her Red Kit.
Well, in my actual fanfiction, that was already taken.
Call her Flame/Fire Kit.
I can see your reasoning. Well, there's no changing it now cause I'm too deep into the book. But, I've come up with a reasonable explanation. I am named after my father, who died from getting hit by a car. He was originally named Bloodstrike, because when he was in Blood Clan, he was called Blood, and Ripple Clan, my clan, took him in THX to my mother, Cloud Fur.
Okay, so, hey everyone! You remember one of my previous videos in which I discussed an old character called Amberstar? Yeah, cool! Well, there's gonna be a second one of these now, and it's featuring a character called, as you couldn't have already guessed, Bloodflame. So she started out as one of those adopts that everybody did back in like 2013, and I'm pretty sure they're still out there, but just not as cringy as the ones that I made. I liked the design enough that I actually kept it. So I'd like to start out by mentioning that this character is absolutely the bane of my edgy 14-ish-year-old existence, and I'm not very proud of that. We have that super dramatic red color scheme, some tragic backstory, anxiety, depression, you know how it goes. And she was made about a year after Amberstar, so I don't really know where things went because she was a pretty normal looking character, and Bloodflame was just kind of a really big 180. So the very first piece of art that she was ever featured in other than the adopts was her standing in the rain, crying with her black and red colored self, and it's titled Alone. And the description of Alone reads,
"This is based on my whole life so far. Sometimes I feel so alone. This is my new OC, Bloodflame, and her two tales are based off the fact that things have gone wrong in my life and how people treat me. Others make fun of her because of it, and that's how I feel when people make fun of me. Well, at least I have friends online. Thanks guys, thanks so much."
And I just, wow. When somebody mentions an edgy child, this is kind of what it is. There's literally just a post where I had her laying down on her side and the lyrics to Pain from 3 Days Grace is underneath it, and and the worst part is that people started catching on to this in the comments, and they were like, hey, you should maybe not make your character black and red and try and make it more natural colors, and I was like, no lol, she's from Blood Clan. There is a point where I discovered that you could put two frames on top of each other and just flip them back and forth and it would make a quote-unquote animation. So yeah, I decided to animate the picture, and this is called Bloodflame animation. I would also like to totally point out that despite this character being used as my main character for over a year, she didn't have an actual backstory other than murder and Blood Clan. Bloodflame/Bloodstar. Age 4 years, 4 moons. Gender female. Rank warrior, queen, deputy, and leader. Eye color yellow. Paw pad color yellow. Description: a sleek black she-cat with red colored flame-like markings on her. Real flame-like there. Not like it's in her name or anything. Real great character development. She never actually developed at all. The only thing that she gained was a love interest, if not two. I made a really generic love triangle between her and two brothers, because so like every good character out there, you have to put them in different kinds of art forms, you know, drawings, paintings, animation, and of course, literature. And now let's take a look at some of the fanfiction that she's... Oh god. Why live? She got up and padded over to the exit of the camp. Lily Whisker was sitting near the exit, examining the camp.
"Hello, Bloodflame, going for a night hunt?" she asked.
Bloodflame nodded and padded away slowly. She let out a long sigh as she slowly made her way up the steep hill and over the stream. She walked for at least 20 minutes, drinking in the fresh forest scents. She eventually made it to the edge of Ripple Clan's territory where a cliff stood. She was thinking about what had happened earlier at the gathering.
Look at this two-tailed cat. How could Ruby Star ever make her deputy?
How did you even make it to the gathering, you deformed freak? How could a mother ever raise a kid this ugly?
Those memories haunted her. She sunk her claws into the rock, chipping one of her claws. She didn't even seem to care.
Why live if everyone hates you?
Wait, no. Damn it, that's not the voice I want to give her.
Why live if everyone hates you?
She thought, remembering how her brother, Skyfall, treated her. She remembered all of her depressed days as an apprentice. The only one who cared enough to be her friend was Nightblaze.
StarClan, I hope you enjoy my presents.
She shakily meowed as she took a step forward.
Make sure my only friend Nightblaze is happy,
she whispered as she took another step closer to the ledge.
I hope my suffering will end.
She took one last breath as she braced herself for the jump. A tear slipped slowly down her silky, black-furred cheek.
Bloodflame!
A voice screeched the moment she jumped. Nightblaze shot out of the bushes and scooped Bloodflame up in midair.
I love you,
he whispered, clenching his teeth to keep from crying. That sentence made Bloodflame's blood run cold.
I won't give up on you. Let me tell you a secret about myself. I'm blind in my left eye.
Can we just for a minute think, in what world would it have been okay to be like, oh yeah, you're like sad? How about we talk about how I'm blind? And that's where the story leaves off. If you can't tell, I wasn't exactly the best writer when I was a child. That was the most anticlimactic story I have ever heard. I'm sorry that you had to sit through it. Okay, so we've talked about cringe enough. We're gonna do a 180 and change gears here. And I'm gonna talk for a minute about how I decided to redesign her. I kind of took this on as a challenge for myself so I could see the ways I've grown as an artist since the original creation of Bloodflame, you know, back in 2013. So I took all of her physical traits and did my best to make a more realistic version of her. Originally, she is black and neon red, so I decided to redesign her to be a tortoiseshell cat, which is the only naturally occurring quote-unquote red over black cat that exists in nature. And she was originally bullied for having two tails. I struggled as to whether or not I should keep them, since her whole existence was basically, yeah, I have two tails, oh no, I'm so sad because I'm bullied. So I ultimately decided to keep the two tails after a lot of thinking about it. But instead of her having two gigantic long tails, being a freak of nature, this is where I determined her breed. She would be a Manx, and they have these really short tails. So she would have these two little nub tails that kind of can even be mistaken for one tail. So that way, her whole upbringing isn't, wow, I'm bullied for having two tails. The third characteristic that she had that I mentioned a million times was she has these flame-like markings, and I talked about this over and over, so I couldn't get rid of that, and I made her flames into real burn wounds. And this is all coming together now, and last but not least, her name needed to go. So I decided to rename her Brave Flame instead. And Brave Flame made 100% more sense than Bloodflame.